A very good morning to everyone. So today I'll be doing the analysis of the Hindu dated 28th of November. So I have shared the screen with you. Can dollarization save an economy? Okay, so Javier Milei, the recent winner of Argentina's presidential election, has drawn attention for his unconventional policies. One of them being the plan to replace the country's currency of peso with dollar. So if you see what is happening, replacing country's currency peso with dollar. Now, while the experiences of some countries hold out promise, there are multiple challenges as well. So, the Argentina's presidential election winner Javier Milei has said that he is going to replace the currency of Argentina peso with dollar. Now, the point is that in this process of replacing or changing peso with dollar, what is the effect that is going to occur? So let's do the detailed analysis for that. Another election, another victory for the global right. Javier Milei, the recent winner of Argentina's presidential election, has drawn attention for his unconventional and worrying views, such as his opposition to abortion and his ambivalent attitude towards the torture and undemocratic excesses of Argentina's military government. So, if you see, the winner has actually talked about what? Abortion of the opposition, ambivalent attitude towards the undemocratic excesses of Argentina's military government. Now, the point comes, Mr. Milei's economic proposals have also drawn much debate and scrutiny. So, the self-confessed anarcho-capitalist pledged in his campaign to replace what? Argentina's currency, the peso, with dollar. Now, the point is that in the process of replacing peso with dollar, what are the positives one will encounter and what are the negatives? So, to eliminate the central bank and to slash the government spending. Now, the point is, okay, so why is the president preferring this? So he's saying that to eliminate the central bank and to slash government spending. So one thing in replacing the currency with dollar will be, first the central bank will be eliminated. Now, this is the scenario of Argentina. If we look at India, the central bank is RBI. So if we replace our currency with dollar, what is going to happen is ultimately the power and the authority of RBI will be eliminated. So this is exactly what is happening in Argentina. If their currency peso is replaced by dollar, what is going to happen? The central bank will be eliminated. Now what? suffering under inflation in excess of 100%, and with early two-thirds of the population falling below the poverty level as purchasing power of wages and salaries have eroded. The electorate has chosen to throw their weight behind Mr. Millet's idiosyncratic policy proposal. Now, you see what is going to happen. You just said that you will replace the currency, but what will be the aftermath of that? See, once you replace the currency, what is going to happen is you are ultimately eliminating the central bank, and this central bank is responsible for what? This central bank is responsible for controlling the inflation, for controlling the monetary policy, etc. So all this work was governed by or through this central bank. Now, once you eliminate this, what is going to happen? These things will go unchecked. Now, however, the president-elect has already began working back on some of his campaign promises, claiming dollarization as a medium-term goal and ruling out the immediate lifting of currency controls when he takes office. Whether dollarization can be achieved immediately and painlessly is an important question. Now, given the scarcity of dollar reserves within the Argentinian central bank, regardless the question of whether dollarization is a solution to an economy undergoing runaway inflation is an important one. Now, see what is happening is Argentina is facing a huge inflation, and probably this is the reason why when Mr. Milei was doing all the campaign for the presidential election, he has made some kind of promises which was not very possible, or that lagged the mirror view. So this is what the editorial is talking about, and the editorial is saying that uh, he has kind of done what? He has started getting away from the promises he has made. So, what is the promises he has made? One of the promises was dollarization of the currency. So, now let's see why dollarization is thought about, or why dollarization is needed, or what is the concept of dollarization. So, dollarization can act as a solution to hyperinflation by breaking the feedback link between rising prices and rising money supply. If the domestic currency is replaced by a dollar, so the theory goes, money supply can no longer be controlled by vested political interests who can increase spending for political ends. Now, the instant rise of prices would be forced to moderate since consumers would no longer be able to access currency easily. See, what is going to happen if dollarization is going to happen? The market will be run by dollars. So when this is going to happen, people will not have a direct currency. So the point is why dollarization is there. Now, dollarization can act as a solution to hyperinflation. Like how? See, how can dollarization be helpful in treating hyperinflation? So, dollarization can act as a solution to hyperinflation. How? By breaking the feedback link. And what is that? See, when there is high rise in prices, what is happening is you are actually transacting in dollars. You are not transacting in your national currency. For example, if you want to have an idea, see, if you are buying a product in rupees, and if there's a hyperinflation, what is going to happen is your currency is affected with respect to the dollar. So what is going to happen is you have to pay a higher amount with respect to your currency in the market. While when it comes to the scenario of dollar, what is going to happen is that even though there is hyperinflation, you are going to pay the price with respect to the dollar. So hyperinflation, what is that? Now hyperinflation will lead to rise in price, and dollarization will lead to what? Rising money supply. So your rise in price and your rising money supply will be interlinked. So how come the domestic currency is no longer be vested by politics? That is going to bring what? Positive effects. And what are those? Now see, since a small economy can only access dollar through foreign trade, for example, how whatever foreign trade is happening, that means whatever exports are happening, that export is done in what? Dollar. So whatever exports that are happening in an economy through foreign trade, or you can say through capital inflows, because you have these in India we have these foreign portfolio investment, foreign direct investments. So all these investments are also acting as one of the source of dollars in the country. So foreign trade and or capital inflows, and this will lead to what? Now this will lead to incentivizing the economy. And when this is incentivizing the economy, what is going to happen? Now, this will lead to a huge focus on your exports. That means if there is higher export, what is going to happen? There will be more inflow of dollar. You can understand this through, if there is exports happening, there will be more of dollar entering the market. Increase in exports will lead to high dollar in the market. Fine. Now, when this will happen, if there is more export and there is more dollar coming in, so this will ease the condition for foreign capital. So that means foreign capital is entering the country. Now, when foreign capital is entering the country, what is going to happen? Now, this dollar could be invested more for production. So this dollar could be invested in your economy. And again, now more investment happening. So more exports happening. Now more exports happening. Again, more dollar coming, more dollar coming. Again, investment in economy. Again, this is leading to exports. So if you see, what is going to happen is this will lead to a kind of stability. This is the reason why dollarization is preferred. Stability. So stability in economy and stability in currency. Fine. Now what else? Now, if this is the scenario, the point is that dollarization of economy is bringing all good things to the economy. So why do one need to be in, or why do one require to have their own country's currency when dollarization is bringing such good results? So, what is the issue that one will be facing if they are probably, bringing in dollarization? So, let's discuss about the issues. Okay. So, if one adopts dollar, what is going to happen is, initially also, just before I started the discussion, I told you that this in Argentina, what is probably going to happen is, uh, if you remember here, I told you that this Argentina's currency, the peso, being replaced with dollar, will lead to elimination of the central bank, and this will cut down government spending. So adoption of dollar would lead to elimination of your central bank. And another thing this editorial talked about was that it will slash the government spending. Now, how these what is the risk of having this dollarization of the economy? So, see what is going to happen is, once you adopt the dollar, what is what repercussions economy is going to face it. Firstly, see your central banks. This your central bank is going to do what? It is going to act as a source for what? Monetary policy framing. And this monetary policy framing is eventually leading to what? Inflation check, policy making. So now what is going to happen is, when you are bringing dollarization, or when you are doing dollarization, your central bank is getting completely eliminated. So the central bank is responsible for framing of monetary policy, and these monetary policy helps to check in inflation and policies, etc. So all this is, you see, what is happening is, the power of the money supply is ultimately in the hands of the country's central bank. So the power of money supply is in the hands of the central bank, or you can say within the country, within the geographical boundary of the country. Now, what is happening on the foreign trade front? Now, countries will no longer be able to what? Depreciate, or they're not able to boost exports. Why? Because focusing on exports promotes to stave off the downturns. That means you need to make policies with respect to country's economy so that you can actually bring changes in the pattern of the economy. So how is this happening? See, dollarization can also have positive effect on growth. Since a small economy can only access dollars through foreign trade or capital inflows, it would incentivize the economy to focus on export successes and leading conditions for foreign capital. This is what I told you, that this will let you focus on only on two aspects: what is your foreign capital and your exports. Now, the stable value of dollar would ensure that economic agents, both foreign and domestic, would be able to make long-term plans regarding economic activities, plans that would otherwise not be possible under a currency that rapidly lost value. Now, there are some potential problems. What are that? The adoption of dollar as a currency implies that economies lose an important source of policy leverage, with monetary policy now unable to control money supply. On the foreign trade front, countries would no longer be able to take recourse to depreciate to boost exports. What do you mean by to depreciate to boost exports? See, what is the meaning of depreciation of or appreciation of currency? When you are exporting, supposingly, see your exports are getting down. Just for example, if you see your exports are getting down, what is going to happen is that you will try to depreciate your currency. For example, if say presently $1, if you say it's rupees 80, if now what is going to happen is if a product is there, say any product, say a cloth, anything, and this is a cloth. Now you are exporting this cloth, fine. So if you are exporting this cloth for say $2, fine, say $2. So now what is going to happen is that for $2 you are going to pay 160 rupees. Now if you are going to depreciate your currency, what are you going to do is probably you will give how much, say if somebody purchases it for $2, you will depreciate the value of your currency by saying that $1 might be equivalent to 90 rupees. So now the person who is exporting the product in the market will actually get how much rupees? He shall get rupees 180. So now if you see, the currency has been depreciated. So this shall lead to what? Encouraging the exports. Fine. So depreciation becomes a big task with dollarization. You are not able to depreciate your currency to boost your exports. Now, focusing only on export promotion to stave off downturns. Some proponents of dollarization see this as a positive outcome since it would ensure government resort to productivity boosting methods to combat recessions instead of changing exchange rates. That means some see this as a good point also. Why? Because they say that government will get focused towards increasing productivity or methods that would require to increase productivity to combat recessions instead of focusing on changing things. Now, what is the experience of Ecuador? Now, theory aside, the experiences of some countries Experiences of some countries hold out promise to the project of dollarization. Now, three fully dollarized economies, one is your Ecuador, Panama, Salvador, have had successful economic outcomes following dollarization. That means your three economies, what are those? You have Ecuador, you have Panama, you have so these three are your successful economic outcomes following dollarization. Now, the Ecuadorian economy suffered a series of debilitating crises in the late 90s, with economic output contracting by almost 7% and inflation at roughly 67%. Now, if you see the economic output, it is seen that we are talking about Ecuador economy, and they are saying what? Here you see the economic output contracting by almost 7%. That means the output of the economy was contracting by 7%. And then you see inflation at roughly 67% and the domestic currency depreciating by almost 200%. So the reason why Ecuador went for dollarization was the output was decreasing by 7%. Inflation was yeah, roughly 67%. So output 7% decrease, inflation very high with 67%, and the currency, their own currency depreciating by almost 200%. Now, what happened was then the then president announced the adoption of dollar in January 2000. Widespread protests following the move forced him to resign 2 weeks after announcement. Despite this political affair, Ecuador persisted with dollarization. The economy has shown considerable progress since then on parameters measuring both economic growth and social welfare. The World Bank estimates a growth of 4.5% in real GDP. That means what was the after effect of bringing dollarization in the economy? So the growth was projected with 4.5% in between 2001 to 14. The poverty rate fell from 36% to 22%. So poverty rate fell from 36% to 22% in 2014. So this was your poverty rate falling, with inequality as measured by Gini index falling by 9 percentage point over this period. During 2008 recession, the economy lost only 1.3% of GDP, reaching its 20 years economic growth only 2 years after the onset of recession. The inflation rate in Ecuador hit a high of 108% in September 2000. Following dollarization, the inflation rate averaged around 4% between 2003 to 2006, a remarkable achievement for an economy experiencing double-digit inflation rates since 1970s. The ratio of foreign debt to GDP also reduced from 55% to 21% in 2006. Now, if you see, because of dollarization, there has been a considerable impact that has been seen in the economy of the Ecuador. Now, the role of the policy, that means what is the role our policy framers with respect to your central banks play, and what is the requirement for that? Because if this is the scenario where everything thing is good with dollarization of the economy, then what is the need of the central bank to operate within the territory of the country? So let's see what is the role of the policy. So the dollarization is not, however, the sole reason for success. This is exactly what I said just now. Ecuador is helped by significant reserves of oil and gas. So first, reserves of oil and gas. The commodity price boom of 2000s greatly aided the growth of economy and allowed for a greater inflow of dollars. That means the commodity price boom of 2000, this aided the growth of economy and allowed for the greater inflow of dollars. Subsequently, the reduction in oil prices after 2014 saw a reduction in economic growth and rising debt and deficit levels. That means if the oil prices are going to lessen, this will saw a reduction in economic growth and rising debt and deficit levels, bringing new challenges to the economy. Now, the government of Rafael Correa from 2000 to 2017 oversaw an expanded role of the state in a dollarized economy, with government expenditure and deficits rising significantly. New contracts with oil exploration companies operating within Ecuador, such as Brazil's Petrobras, were negotiated, giving the Ecuadorian government greater revenue, using nationalization of oil fields as leverage against foreign oil companies. They also restructured some of the Ecuador's foreign debt, defaulting on certain bonds it deemed illegitimate that provided unfair gains to private parties. This freed up fiscal space which was used for social spending, which increased from roughly 5.5% GDP in 2006 to 10.3% in 2011. Now, all in all, what is happening is here. Now, just a minute. Okay, so what is the reason here? In here we have just studied some points. Let me summarize this. Um, my take on this role of policy is that what is the reason why dollarization was successful, but seriously, there couldn't be only one reason that okay, we made the economy or we turned our currency into dollars, or we turned to dollarization. That is probably the only reason why our economy is striving. No, there's never a one reason for that. So there are multiple reasons because of which your economy is growing. So what are the reasons for that success of dollarization? So see, firstly, I told you that there has been a significant oil and gas reserves that were there in Ecuador. So uh, dollarization was fruitful, and one of the key reasons again for the successful dollarization is significant reserves of oil and gas were in the regions of Ecuador. Other than that, what they are saying is that the commodity price booms of 2000 greatly aided growth of the economy and allowed a greater inflow of dollars. So, what does that mean? That suddenly the commodity prices boom. Now, when the commodity price boomed, this led to what? Inflow of dollars. And subsequently, what happened? This reduction in oil prices after 2014 saw a reduction in economic growth. That means there was a reduction in oil prices Now, because of this reduction in oil prices after 2014, the reduction in oil prices after 2014 saw what? Reduction in economic growth. See, if the price would have been high, again we would have said dollarization made a positive impact. Since the reduction in the oil prices happened and Ecuador was having this oil and gas reserve, then we said what? That there is a reduction in economic growth. So reduction in oil price of 2014 saw reduction in economic growth. And because of this reduction, what happened was there was a huge debt that rised. So rising debt, and there is a deficit level. And rising debt and deficit level led to what? This brought what? New challenges to economy. Now see, our economy, which was performing very well, which was thought to be because of dollarization, suddenly the economy is not performing well, and now the after effect of this is not dollarization, but it is because of reduction in the oil prices. Fine. Okay. So this is what this whole thing was talking about. So the achievement of economic prosperity is a complex affair. Now that requires sustained engagement with policy making and perhaps a little bit of luck to navigate economic shocks. Rising oil prices brought windfall gains to the Equatorial economy with a government that ensured these gains were translated into social spending. Now, dollarization may have broken back the inflation, but active fiscal policy played an important role in ensuring sustainable growth. Now, this is what they are saying, that fiscal policy played an important role in ensuring sustainable growth, and now this fiscal policy is coming from your central banks. Several economists have decreed a return to austerity economics in Ecuador, with the IMF insisting on the independence of central bank as a precondition for receiving financial assistance. Now we shall do what were the dangers of adopting external currency without the ability to chart independent policy can be seen in the case of Greece. Now, this is what the editorial has been talking about right from the very starting. That if you are not having your central bank or your own central policy maker, what is going to happen is you will see what you will see the dangers of adopting an external currency without the ability to chart independent policy can be seen in the case of Greece. So it is happening in the case of Greece. Now, what happened in this case of Greece? So it says that the adoption of euro fueled growth in Greece. That means Greece adopted which currency? It was euro, with capital inflows rising and tourism booming on the back of stable currency. However, in wake of eurozone crisis, Greece was bereft of both fiscal and monetary policy space, with monetary policy being determined by European Central Bank. Now, see, Greece adopted which currency? Euro. And the euro is being guided by who? It is determined by the European Central Bank. Now, fiscal policy is restrained as a precondition for adopting euro. Why? Because the fiscal policy is made by which institution or which body? It is the central bank of that country. And since you have adopted another currency, what is going to happen is this body is going to become least effective. Now, the Greek economy saw no alternative but to adopt what crushing austerity in exchange for financial assistance from IMF and external commercial borrowing. That means what was what was the alternative that was left for Greece. The alternative that was left for Greece was that now they have to move towards the financial assistance of or towards the financial assistance from the IMF, that is your International Monetary Fund, and your ECB, that is your external commercial borrowing. Dollarization, therefore, is not a silver bullet, but if used well in conjunction with nimble domestic policy, can offer a route to success. Now, with a president-elect that brandishes a chainsaw to indicate his desire to slash government spending and who has asserted that he will abolish the central bank policy in Argentina might find its fear reduced under the Millis administration. The world awaits the result of yet another macroeconomic gamble played out on the backs of a suffering populace. That means ultimately the one who is getting hampered, or ultimately the one who will be getting affected, will be the population. Now, what has or what see what could be done where the cases have de-dollarization have been there. So see, Brazil's bilateral currency trade. Now, bilateral currency trade was what? See, we have the scenario of bilateral currency trades. So because of this, what happens is now in this kind of currency trade, there is a reduced reliance on US dollar, and this shall bring in what? This shall bring in what? More of domestic currency on trade. So we can refer to what? Bilateral currency trade. Okay. So this could be one of the remedial solution because of which you can expect your economy to grow, but at the same time, over dependence or dollars could be removed, which is the need of the hour. Now, fiber optic cables, its origins, working, and different functions. Now, during the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, the one thing that connected us virtually was the internet. Now, because of the high-speed internet connection, we can now video chat with friends, pay online, attend classes, meeting from home, etc. Now, what is an optical fiber? So, optical fiber are made of thin cylindrical strands of glass. The diameter of a typical fiber is close to the diameter of a human hair. That means if you see the human hair, now the diameter of the human hair is precisely the diameter of typical fiber. Now, these fiber can carry information such as text, images, videos, telephone calls, anything that can be encoded as digital information across large distance almost at the speed of the light. Now, ultra thin fibers seem very fragile, but when manufactured correctly as a long thread surrounded by protectives, they serve the purpose in a durable way. How? Because they are strong, they are light, they are flexible, and they are ideal to be buried underground. That means, when they are flexible enough, they can be moved from one place to another, and durability is there in the product. So what you find is that it is least hampered by whether they are buried underground, whether they are underwater, or bent through a spool. Almost 60 years ago, physicist Charles Cow suggested that the glass fibers could be a superior medium for telecommunication, replacing the copper wires of the time. While many people didn't believe him at first, his prediction is reality today for his groundbreaking achievements concerning fiber optic communication. And for this, Dr. Cow received a Nobel Prize. How do optical fibers work? Light is an electromagnetic wave with a spectrum of frequencies. And what are those spectrum of frequencies? That is visible light, X-rays, radio waves, and thermal radiations. All lie on this spectrum. Humans see the world around us via sunlight, but it took us long time to control and guide light through optical fiber or light pipes to send coded signal. That means these optical fibers work towards what? Guiding light towards the signal. Now, when a beam of light falls on a glass surface, it passes through partially while the rest is reflected away. This we all have studied in physics in our schools. That when a beam of light falls on a glass, what is happening? It passes, it partially passes while most of it is reflected. So when it passes through, it paths bend. This is what I have made you see. Now, it's part bend because the refractive index of glass is different from that of air. The refractive index is the property of a medium that determines how fast light can travel in it. When a beam travels in the reverse direction, that is from glass to air, it's possible that it won't enter the air. Instead, it will be completely reflected back within the glass. Now, this phenomenon known as total internal reflection is the basis of guiding light across long distance without a significant loss of optical power. With proper adjustments, the light can be kept bouncing within the glass with very little escaping outside. This is how signals encoded as electromagnetic wave can be fed it to one end of an optical fiber, and they reflect and bounce many times between the glass walls as they traverse several kilometers bearing the information in the signal. Now see, they said that the diameter of the optical fiber is similar to the diameter of your human hair. Now this is your optical fiber, and this is from where the light is entering. Now if you see when the light is entering, what is happening is this, here you have these glass frames. So what you see is light is entering, then it is getting reflected. Now see, I have just told you about the refractive index properties. And this is reflected. Again, this is reflected, some of them is passed by, then again this is reflected, and some of them pass by, then again some of them is reflected, and then again some of them is reflected. So owing to the difference in the refractive index of the air of the glass, some amount of light is refracted and some amount of the light is, in fact majority amount of the light is reflected. Now, a fiber optic communication system consists of three parts: a transmitter, which encodes information into optical signals, an optical fiber carries signal to its destination, and a receiver, which reproduces the information from the encoded signal. Optical waves allow a high data transmission rate up to several terabits per second in a single fiber, unlike radio and copper based, cable based. Now, how are fiber optic cables developed? While we have known about the intriguing effects of light in transparent media like water or glass, the systematic development of light guiding can be traced only to the early 19th century. In 1840, Jean Daniel Colladon at the University of Geneva first demonstrated that the light's propagation can be restricted to a narrow stream of water jet. Now, Jacques Babinet observed a similar effect in France and extended the idea to bent glass rods. Now, whose idea was to have these bent glass rods? That means the fiber, optical fiber you are having, it is actually having a bent glass rods. So this was about Jacques Babinet. Now, you may have seen such effects in water fountains lit by colorful beams of light. Now you have John Tyndall. You have also heard about the Tyndall effect if you remember in schools. So John Tyndall is known for popularizing the idea of colloidal light fountain following a suggestion by Faraday. He demonstrated the effect in a water jet at the Royal Society in London. The effect is also visible in plastic fiber Christmas trees. Now we can guide the light using total internal reflection with materials that have a higher refractive index than air. As Babinet found, a better choice than water is thin glass rods, thanks to their availability, durability, and convenience. Such glass objects found early applications in medicine and defense. In 1920, for example, Clarence Hansel and John Logie Baird showed a way to transmit images through glass fibers. Now, around the 1930s, doctors started using a bundle of thin fibers to inspect patients' internal organs and to illuminate through during surgical procedures. Early optical fibers were prone to damage and weren't suitable for long distance transmission of light. In 1954, fiber development made a significant leap forward. Harold Hopkins and Narinder Singh Kapani at Imperial College London transmitted image using this much long bundle of more than 10,000 optical fiber. Now, in 1960, Theodore Memon built the first laser, an excellent optical source which further boosted research in optical communication. The development of lasers working at room temperature made it possible to code any information digitally into optical signal. In 1966, Caio and his colleagues found that the signals were accentuated due to impurities in the glass rather than the light being scattered. He suggested melting high purity fused silica at high temperature and producing thin fiber threads from that. Now, you don't need to do this much detailing. Nowadays, glass fibers are manufactured using fiber drawing techniques. First, a thick glass rod called preform of high purity and an engineered refractive index profile is prepared using chemical vapor decomposition. The drawing process reduces the fiber's diameter while maintaining its length. In India, Fiber Optic Laboratory at Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, Kolkata, has a facility to manufacture high quality silica based optical fiber. So, high quality silica based. Today's optical fibers have a typical loss of less than zero point 0.2 decibel per kilometer. Now, what is the future of fiber cables? Now, there must be certain future of fiber cables. If it is not there, then what is the need to bring optical fibers into the world? So, fiber optic technology has seen since been used in telecommunication, medical science, laser technology, and sensing. Now, initially, also this article has talked about using fiber opticals in your medical purposes. So you have these laser surgeries. They are playing a very effective role. So, with goal to securing communication and promoting quantum science, the government of India announced a national mission in the Union Budget of 2020. The proposed budget for this national mission on quantum technologies and application is rupees 8,000 crore for a period of 5 years. The possibility of fiber optic networks are growing at an accelerated rate, reaching all the way into our homes. Along with quantum optics, fiber optic communication stands on the cusp of new era. Let me show you the use of fiber optics in medicals. Just hold on for a minute. Just a minute. Now, if you see the screen that I have shared with you, this screen is a screen where you will find the optics being used in the medical scenario. So if you see, this is your esophagus, you have the stomach, and you have the endoscope and a TV that monitors showing the inside of the stomach. And this is happening through what? Refraction. And this is your endoscopy. This is referred as endoscopy. So this is just one of the pictures where fiber optics is being used, and based on this, what is getting inside or what is happening inside the stomach could be monitored so easily using the fiber optics. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the next article. Okay, so as deaths due to work-related factors go up, ILO report urges countries to strengthen safety net. Now, nearly 30 lakh workers die every year globally owing to the work-related accidents and diseases, says a new report prepared by International Labour Organization. Now, more than 63% of these deaths are reported from the Asia-Pacific region. Exposure to long working hours was the biggest killer, with almost 7.45 lakh people dying of it in 2016, followed by exposure to occupational particulate matter, gases and fumes, and occupational injuries. The report, a call for safer, healthier working environments, will be discussed at the 23rd World Congress on Safety and Health at Work, one of the largest international conferences. Now, the report said mining and quarrying, construction, and utility sectors were the three major hazardous sectors globally. So, which are the three sectors that they have talked about? One is your mining, one is your quarrying, one is your construction, and there is your utilities. So it's mining and quarrying, construction, and utilities. Now these are the sectors where a maximum report of, or these are the sectors that are considered to be hazardous sectors. And in these hazardous sectors, maximum accidents have been reported. The Director General of the Employees State Insurance Corporation is representing India at conference. The report said that so far 79 out of 187 member countries have ratified ILO Occupational Safety and Health Convention, while 62 countries have ratified the Promotional Framework for Occupational Safety and Health Convention. Now, India has not ratified both of them. That means your ILO Occupational Safety and Health Convention and both the occupational and the health convention. In the wake of Uttar Kashi tunnel collapse, in which 41 workers have been trapped, the central trade unions had urged the union government to ratify the conventions. In line with the core principles of the two fundamental conventions, a sound and resilient national occupational safety and health framework built on social dialogue and participation is essential for realization of the fundamental rights to a safe and healthy working environment. It added that a majority of these work-related deaths, 26 lakh, was attributed to work-related diseases. That means because of exposure, they are facing what? Work-related diseases, while work accidents resulted in 3.3 lakh deaths. The diseases that caused almost work-related deaths were circulatory diseases, malignant and neoplasms, and respiratory diseases. The report said that the rate of trachea, bronchus, and lung cancer attributable to occupational exposure to chromium doubled between 2000 and 2016. Now, mesothelioma. and attributable to asbestos exposure has risen by 40%. The rate of non-melanoma skin cancer increased by over 37%. On the other hand, death due to exposure of asthmagens and particulate matters, that is your PM, gases of fumes decreased by over 20%. So this was seen as decreased by 20%. The reports also recommended 5 categories of fundamental principles and rights to work for ensuring safety and health at work. Now, these are freedom of association and the effective recognition of the right to collective bargaining, elimination of all forms of forced or compulsory labor, abolition of child labor, elimination of discrimination in respect to employment and occupation, and a safe, healthy working environment. Now, if you see the graph, what you find is work-related death. The chart shows that top 10 occupational risk factors and the number of attributable deaths. Exposure to long working hours, that is 55 hours or more per week, had the largest number of attributable deaths, followed by the exposure to particulate matters. This is referring to the amount of exposure. So here you see long working hour is becoming one of the key reasons for number of attributable death. Okay, so this much for today. Thank you so much.